Published 1846 est. The 6th of November 2017. Updated 1906 est. The 6th of November 2017. The UK is more reliant on overseas doctors and nurses than almost any other healthcare system in the developed world, according to a report. A third of doctors and 1 in 8 nurses were trained abroad, around twice as high as the average for other countries. The figures were compiled by NHS providers, which accused the government of a fundamental failure in workforce planning. The organisation, which represents health service bosses, also warned of severe staffing gaps in all hospital departments but particularly in air. A third of doctors and 1 in 8 nurses were trained abroad, around twice as high as the average for other countries, according to a new report. File Image used a total of 13% of air consultant posts are vacant, more than 1 in 8, but in the Midlands and East region this is as high as 15%. The report said that although the number of NHS staff has increased, it has not kept pace with growing demand from the rising, aging population. It looked at figures for recruitment among members of the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development, which includes 35 of the richest industrialised nations. The report found that the NHS imports significantly more doctors and nurses than Germany, France, Spain, Canada, the US, Sweden and the Netherlands. Only New Zealand, Australia, Israel and Ireland are more heavily reliant on doctors and nurses trained overseas. The figures, from 2013, showed that 28.7% of UK doctors were trained abroad, compared with 9.2% in France, 8.8% in Germany, 2.6% in the Netherlands, and an OECD average of 17.3%. The NHS has one of the highest levels of reliance on overseas staff in the OECD. The report said. The gap between the workforce that providers need and the staff they are able to recruit and retain is now unsustainable, putting patient safety and quality of care at risk. Chris Hobson, chief executive of NHS providers, said the staff and skills shortages we now see reflect a fundamental failure at national level on workforce strategy. We don't have enough staff with the right skills and we're asking far too much of our existing staff. NHS trust leaders are telling us there are no quick fixes to improve the supply of our trained staff, and the outlook for international recruitment is uncertain. The report found that the NHS imports significantly more doctors and nurses than Germany, France, Spain, Canada, the US, Sweden and the Netherlands. Only New Zealand, Australia, Israel and Ireland are more heavily reliant on doctors and nurses trained overseas. File Image used the latest figures from the General Medical Council, which regulates doctors, show that 37% qualified abroad. The most common country of origin was India, followed by Pakistan, South Africa, Nigeria and Ireland. The Nursing and Midwifery Council said 15% of nurses and midwives were trained abroad. Common countries of origin include the Philippines, Portugal, Italy and Spain. Figures earlier this year showed the number of EU nurses had nosedived by 96% in 9 months. This was blamed on the introduction of tougher language tests in 2016, which required nurses to understand scientific papers. The Nursing WCOG has since agreed to allow nurses to take tests that are less academic.